Welcome to the debate. So imagine treating a declining fragile mind, not with traditional medicine, but with LSD.
Right. It sounds, well, radical.
Maybe even dangerous. But, according to this recent analysis in NCI and Beyond, classic psychedelics like LSD and psilocybin, they might actually be one of the few things that works to treat or at least modify dementia. I'm arguing that these substances offer, frankly, profoundly promising biological mechanisms for neuroplasticity. They offer crucial symptom relief that these patients desperately need.
And as the dissenter today, I contend that this evidence is just dangerously premature. We are talking about administering potent hallucinogens to a highly vulnerable, declining population. The risks right now vastly outweigh the theoretical benefits.
Let's just start with what we're actually seeing in the lab right now. For decades, Alzheimer's research has, let's face it, hit a brick wall.
True.
But with psychedelics, we're seeing early data that they actively stimulate neurogenesis.
In animal models, mostly.
Yes, but it means they actually help the brain grow new neurons. And they drastically reduce neuroinflammation, which is essentially, the fire burning through a dementia-affected brain.
Okay, but...
Wait, just look at the Beckley Foundation's exploratory research. It is fascinating here. They tracked a 97-year-old patient with dementia who microdosed LSD.
Right, a single case study.
A case study, yes, but it wasn't just a minor mood bump. We are talking about genuine cognitive revitalization, a sudden return of lucidity, engaging in clear conversations. Just a profound shift in daily presence.
I completely get why that story grabs people. I really do. If you have a loved one with dementia, hearing that a 97-year-old on LSD suddenly regained their lucidity feels like, well, a miracle.
Because it practically is.
It's a shocking image, sure, but we have to look past the emotional pull of an anecdote. The overwhelming majority of this evidence remains in petri dishes or, like I said, animal models.
Uh-huh.
And when you look at the large-scale human data, the reality is stark. A recent study actually linked psychedelic-related emergency hospital visits to a significantly elevated risk of schizophrenia. You just cannot brush past that level of systemic risk.
I'm not brushing past the risk, but we have to weigh it against how these substances actually operate in the brain. It's not magic, right? There's a very specific biological mechanism at play.
Okay, let's hear it.
Psilocybin, for example, binds to specific serotonin receptors, which then triggers this massive cascade of glutamate.
Right.
Think of glutamate as a potent fertilizer for the brain. It physically prompts neurons to grow new branches and form new connections.
Right. Neuroplasticity. But let's be precise about what that actually means in an actively degenerating brain.
Exactly. So instead of thinking of it like a simple computer reboot, think of the dementia-affected brain like a ski mountain where all the usual trails have completely iced over.
Okay.
The neural signals are stuck. What the psilocybin does is drop a thick layer of fresh powder, allowing the skier to carve entirely new paths around the damaged areas.
Ah, I see.
We know even a single dose can induce these network changes for weeks. When our current treatments have basically zero disease-modifying power, shouldn't we prioritize something that lays down fresh snow?
Look, that is a beautiful metaphor, it really is. But a physically degenerating human brain is not a ski slope.
Well, obviously not literally.
If you stimulate a massive glutamate cascade in an already unstable, fragile neural environment, you aren't just laying down fresh snow. You might be triggering an avalanche.
That's a bit extreme.
It's a real pharmacological risk. Animal models of neuroplasticity simply do not guarantee human safety. And this brings up a profound roadblock, which is informed consent.
Right, because of the patient's cognitive decline?
Precisely. How does someone with severe cognitive impairment provide true, informed consent for a mind-altering, experimental substance?
Yeah, that is tough.
If they experience a terrifying hallucination, they might not even understand what is happening or, be able to articulate their distress to the medical staff.
The consent challenge is incredibly serious. I don't deny that at all. But let me push back here. Is it a greater failing to withhold potentially long-lasting relief from severely suffering patients?
I don't think it's withholding.
We are talking about people enduring agonizing confusion, deep anxiety, and depression as their illness progresses.
Yes, which is awful.
Right. So if we have an intervention that can alleviate that suffering through structural brain changes, isn't tying it up in endless caution its own kind of harm?
I don't see it as tying it up in caution. I see it as absolute baseline patient protection.
But at what cost?
We cannot bypass safety protocols just because the disease is terrible. The only acceptable path forward is through rigorous, heavily monitored clinical pilot trials.
Which take years.
But they are necessary. Right now, there is an ongoing trial tracking psilocybin's effects on depression and quality of life, specifically in patients with mild cognitive impairment over a 6-month period.
Right.
You wait for the data from a controlled environment like that before you risk exposing cognitively fragile individuals to severe psychotic side effects.
Well, at the end of the day, I look at the landscape of dementia care. It's a landscape with zero cures.
True.
And I just can't ignore that classic psychedelics offer a genuine biological avenue for hope. We really need to embrace this innovation.
And my bottom line is that safety and consent have to come first. Without that rigorous trial data we just discussed, these substances remain dangerous unknowns, not proven therapeutics.
Yeah, but I think we clearly converge on the need for serious scientific investment here.
Oh, absolutely.
This field desperately needs ethically supervised research at a much more open public dialogue.
The research has to continue just with strict, uncompromising parameters.
Right. Well, we will leave it to our listeners to review the material and decide for themselves.
Indeed.
But it leaves us with an important question. If traditional medicine hasn't found a way to carve out a new path, how bold are we willing to be to find a way forward?